able to hear me, guys? Okay, if you can hear my voice, please type voice in the chat. All right, good to see all of you. I can see some of you are already watching, but I just want to make sure that voice, everything is functioning. Let me just also, yeah, I can hear the music. Can you guys hear my voice as well? Okay, if you can hear my voice, please type voice in the chat. Good to see all of you here. Hi, good to see, long time no see. Hi, guys. All right, so tonight it's gonna be a very, very free and easy night. I actually prepared some questions and answers for you all because I actually opened this Q&A style to my people in my Telegram channel. So I asked them, hey, do you have any questions that you want to ask me? Do you have any questions? Just put it in the form. Now I'll be able to answer along the way. So purposely, I decided to choose today as well to answer most of the questions. So if you are one of my long-term followers inside my Telegram channel, then I hope that I will be able to answer your questions tonight as well. Hi everyone. Hi Ariel. Hi Harumicha. Hisashiburi desu. Hi Asbin. Good to see all of you. All right, so I can see that you guys can hear me. Now, let's get started, right? And tonight, right, of course, apart from the few questions that I have prepared for you all, feel free to also, along the way, anything is related to investing, related to wealth management for yourself, for your family, for your portfolio. Yeah, you can ask me in the chat as well. I will try to answer as much as possible within this session, all right? So I hope you guys will enjoy and still learn a lot from this, all right? So now, let's get started. The first thing that I received a couple of questions, right, from the people who submitted their questions into the form, and one of the questions I felt that it's very, very important for everyone. Okay, in fact, these 5 questions I'm going to answer tonight, right, it's actually applicable to most people, and that's why I purposely chose them so that you can also learn, even though you may not be the person who asked those questions. All right. So the first question is from Santi. All right, so Santi is asking, he actually, I think it's a he, okay, maybe I could be wrong, maybe a she as well. So Santi actually has a portfolio of 100K, right? So if you have a big portfolio like Santi right now, maybe you can type 100K in the chat, then this question, whatever things I have to share with you will be relevant to you as well. All right, so he's asking, hey, so should I be, how should I divide my portfolio into stocks, into ETF, into options? What is the best strategy? All right, so I think this is really relevant for people who have just started investing. I believe Santi just started investing, and that's why he's wondering what is the best way to allocate his capital. All right, so if you also are looking for how can you allocate your capital better, please type allocate in the chat as well. So in this sharing, I'm also going to share with you how can you allocate your capital better so that, yeah, you learn how to invest safely and diversify at the same time. All right. So before you talk about allocation, your 100K into ETF, stocks, and options, right, you firstly have to ask yourself this question, right? What kind of investor are you, right? And because everyone can be different, your 100K, the way that you use it will be very different from how Chloe used my 100K as well. So how can we determine what is the best use for each other is to really understand yourself more, right? You have to understand like what is your risk tolerance level, right? If you are someone who are very, very low risk, that means you really want to be very risk averse. You can type risk averse in the chat, okay? On the other hand, if you're someone that, hey, don't mind actually having more risk so that, yeah, your growth can be faster and your ROI can be higher, you can type high risk in the chat as well. So I can say, even also want to learn about how to allocate, right? So now you have to ask yourself, which type of investor, what kind of investor are you? And depending on your risk appetite, right, the way of you allocating your portfolio will be very different according to the different style, right? Different personality, right? So those risk-averse people, their primary goal is to really preserve the capital at the same time having some, like average return. They don't mind average return because all they want is, hey, I want to preserve my capital safely. And in the meantime, maybe my return, as long as it can beat inflation, it can give me a good, decent payout, every single year, and then I think you are a relatively conservative type of people, right? So the way that you will be investing will be more towards, I think, the stable kind of maybe ETF or more stable companies, right? On the other hand, very extreme end are people who are very aggressive, right? And you really want, your primary goal is to really grow your portfolio as soon as possible. So if that's the case, the strategies that you will be using or the stocks that you will be choosing will also be very different from people who are very conservative, right? So let's say you will be probably going for more high growth company, disruptive company, be it Tesla, be it Palantir and all this, right? And maybe you can even use option strategy to supercharge your return, right? But at the end of the day, I think this question, right, there's really no one size fit all, right? It's not like a cookie cutter. Everyone is different, right? So your portfolio will be very different from how I allocate my portfolio. But I also want to be very, very upfront with you. I want to share with you how I allocate my portfolio so that you can also use it as a reference. But once again, whatever things that we are sharing here, okay, including tonight as well, it's never about a buy or sell recommendation. It's really giving you the investment education so that you can make a proper decision, all right? So everybody, please type DYODD in the chat, okay? Do your due diligence, right? Whatever things that I'm sharing with you tonight, it's just my personal opinion, okay? It doesn't represent anyone. You just take it with a pinch of salt. It's always good, you know, you have your own thinking, right? So for myself, this is how I allocate my own portfolio, right? So I am relatively a moderately aggressive investor. So I am not 100% conservative. I'm not satisfied with an average return, right? I want my portfolio to be growing. At the same time, I also don't want to be like subject myself to too much volatility and too much risk. So what I do is I actually allocate 60% in stocks. That means like really companies that I personally pick and I invest, right? 60% of them, right? And then 10% in ETF. Because the beautiful part about being an ETF is you immediately diversify your risk and you invest in multiple good companies at the same time, right? So I always advocate starting with an ETF if you don't know how to do investing, right? I can see a lot of you are typing DYODD, very good, right? So if you can see these two portions add up together, about 70% of my portfolio. So one good thing about having this moderately aggressive type of style is I don't see my portfolio dropping a lot, especially during recent time. You know, like the past 1 to 2 months, the tech sector has been correcting itself. But at the same time, my portfolio is still up like about 15% year to date, right? So I don't see a lot of sharp drop because I am only 30% in options. Okay, so and of course on the other side of the coin is my portfolio definitely will not grow as quickly as people who go in 100% options, right? So for example, 2020, right? That was a brilliant year to really grow your wealth because that's when a lot of stocks just keep on running up like drastically, right? So there were some of our mentees, some of them are really aggressive, like they really don't mind, right? Their goal is to really grow their portfolio exponentially, and they grow in like they went in 100% option. And that is how they also like had amazing return last year, right? Because it was a very great market and they went in 100% option. That's when their ROI is like supercharged, right? But for myself, I cannot take this kind of volatility. I cannot take this kind of risk. So I am okay with 30% option because if you also know like how to do options, right? It's a very, very powerful tool to increase your return, right? Even with a smaller capital. So even with 30% of my capital, I go in option. When the gain is a lot, then my portfolio will also move, all right, accordingly, right? It will be a much better gain than just investing in stocks itself. But I cannot go in 100% option because I cannot take it, right? So that's why this is my way of investing, right? Let me know if you're already investing in stocks, investing in options, or what is your percentage allocation. And there is no right or wrong answer, right? I can't say that people who go in 100% options is wrong, right? Because they actually had amazing return last year. And in fact, one of our mentee, Hardy, right? Last year, he grew 200K into $1.3 million. And then because of the recent correction, he lost certain part of his profits because his his portfolio was very much in option, but still he is still a lot up because he went in last year, right? He's still a millionaire, right? So from 200K, he is still a millionaire even after the recent tech correction. So, but he has to be the one who is willing to take the volatility, right? So for each other, it's different. That is why it's very important for you to ask yourself this question: are you someone who is risk averse, or are you someone who don't mind stomach more risk, right? Because that will help you to sleep peacefully even during volatile time like this. All right, now let's go to the next two questions. All right, the second question is asked by Kai. So Kai is asking, hey, is it true that every single month of every single year, like March, September, the market will have correction, right? And then Jie is asking, when will the tech stocks start going up again, right? Because, and then at the end of the day, will tech end up, to be negative in 2021? And then he's asking some particular stock like AMD and PayPal, right? So let me answer the first question first, right? So what do you guys think? Do you, before I give you my answer, right? Do you think that every single year, like March and September month, is generally the sell-off month? What do you guys think? If you think March and September is a sell-off month, right? Please type sell-off, which we did see last year. There was a sharp drop due to COVID-19. And this year, there was a slight correction as well. The tech was down a little bit before it kind of picked up, the past 1 week or so. So what do you think? Is it a sell-off month for March? And how about September? Okay, sell-off, right? Anthony says sell-off, all right? So now, let me show you when I search for answer on the internet, asking my best friend Google, right? Actually, March is usually a pretty good month. You can see that, okay? When I'm searching for this question, is March a good month for stocks? Then Investopedia said that actually March is a pretty good month, right? And then according to historical track record, it's kind of like it's a third best month to invest. Yeah, out of like 12 months, this is the third best month to invest. Okay, and historically they have seen the how much performs as a market in general. And then how about September? So for September, right? Say September is traditionally a down month, right? So on the other hand, October is historically positive. So what should you do, guys? So when March, should you invest or not? Because historically, it has been going up. And then for September, what should you do, right? When you see September, generally is a down month. That means like most of the time, the stock will definitely correct itself, What should you do during September month, right? Okay, now, this is what the internet shows us, right? But you also have to look at things in a longer term, because when you are looking things in terms of month time frame, this is a very short term time frame, right? So when it's short term, definitely when you are investing, with such narrow horizon, the probability of you making mistakes is gonna be a lot more. That is why I will always ask my students as well to always think long term, right? If you've been following me, you know the importance of really long term thinking and investing in solid, good company long term. Why? Because let me show you this chart. This is past 5 years, all right, of S&P 500, the top 500, companies in the US, and this is how the market has been performing, okay, for the past 5 years. Okay, later, if you see 10 years, it's even more obvious. It's definitely an uptrend, right? But can you see like when is March and when is September? Can you see from this? Like, hey, when is the March month that is like performing very well? And then when is the September month that it's performing very badly? And that's why you should sell off, right? Because this is what the market say most of the time. But if you stretch your horizon long enough, can you guys see when is March and when is September? If you can see, right, please point for me, all right? Or maybe you can draw for me, right? If you cannot see, please type cannot see, right? Because there is no way that you can really point out when is exactly March, when is exactly September, if you really stretch your horizon very, very long enough. And of course, if you want to be a very, very exact, I can point out one of the March, it's here. Why? Because this is the recent COVID-19 drop, right? This one is very obvious, right? But most of the time, other time, can you point out where's March? Can you point out where's September? Cannot, right? So that is the beauty, right? Just like what Yifeng said. We should be collecting stocks, all right? Actually, it's not just in September. We should be collecting stock, continue to invest regardless. Because long term, if you are investing in great businesses, right, this is what your performance is going to be like, right? This is how the market will keep on going up because the company make more money. How? Our economy is developing, our population is growing, we always want to improve our standard of living. That's how the company make more money, the stock price go up if you give it time. So instead of looking month, let's look at year over year, right? Everybody please type year over year in the chat, all right? It's very important to think long term. And when you think long term, you won't be asking these questions already because, hey, even though this year, maybe the tech stock is not doing well, but how about long term? Long term, hey, if you look at long term enough, any year will be a good time to get started, right? Any year is a good time to start investing, right? So the key lesson I want you to take away is start now, but of course, start learning how to do it first. Don't go in blindly. Make sure you educate yourself, and that's how you can start to invest safely as well, right? Very important, year over year. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Now, the next questions that I have, actually Cindy, she asked 2 questions. What is your opinion for year 2021? Bullish or bearish? So once again, this is pretty similar to the answer I just gave. Right? I wouldn't know because nobody has a crystal ball, right? So we don't need a crystal ball to invest well, right? All we need to do is to invest long term, invest in solid businesses, right? So the second question that she is asking is, since the market is having some correction right now, is it a good time to buy call or should I just accumulate stocks? I think this is a very, very good question because I believe she has attended OMI before, which is our flagship program. So she understands the power of options, right? And that's why buy call is one of the option strategy that we teach, okay, which is called Strategy X, okay? But I don't have time to explain right now, but she's really asking, how can I use whatever things I have learned in OMI to really profit, better in this even volatile condition like this, right? So my answer to you, Cindy, if you are watching, right? If you have conviction in this company and you really follow through what we taught you in OMI, find out, is this a good company? Is this a good price to go in? And then based on the technical analysis, is this at support? Is that resistance, right? Everything is step by step. If everything in line, then you can actually do both at the same time, right? Why not do both if you have conviction into that stock, all right? But at the end of the day, you also have to make sure you know exactly what are you doing, right? And you have to make sure you also position size your portfolio wisely, okay? Let's say like this is one of the stock that I personally invest in. It's Facebook, right? Of course, no matter how bullish I am on Facebook, I won't go in 100% Facebook, right? My portfolio is not just about Facebook. It's always about diversification. So that's why you can see that I have ETF, I have stocks, and I also have options, right? So for Facebook itself, okay, this stock itself, I do both, okay? I do both options and I also do stocks, just buy stocks. And in fact, during the recent correction, okay, Facebook have picked up quite a fair bit already since the last corrected time, right? And I went in, right? Because this is such a beautiful company, brilliant company, undervalued finally when it finally come down and actually touch a very nice support, right? This is exactly what we taught you in OMI. If you have conviction in the stock and you study it enough, and you also do position sizing, your portfolio sizing, you do both, right? Because you can see that when I buy the stocks and I also initiated the buy call, which is a Strategy X, right, which we taught in OMI, both of them are giving me decent return. And of course, if you learn options before, you will know that this is even more powerful because the 17, close to 18% ROI, okay, which I just initiated this position like about 1 month ago, right? my initial capital required is so much lesser, right? Compared to me having to buy a lot of stocks, okay? So you can see that I have 60 stocks into Facebook, but this amount I spend definitely is way more than doing this strategy X, right? But why do I have to want to do both? Is because once again, I cannot stomach my portfolio to be 100% options. I always like to collect stocks as well. And I don't mind my portfolio to be growing slower, but I know it's growing steadily as well. And I want to be a collector of this wonderful business. And that's why I decided to buy no matter what. So, okay, Mandy is watching. Thanks. Second half buy call. Yes. So, what do I mean by buy call, Mandy? I think Pei Fen is answering your question. So, if you don't understand what is buy call, basically it's one of the option strategy that we teach during OMI. We teach you step by step how can you profit, okay, by owning a piece of the option contract. While the stock price go up, you can also enjoy the profit at the same time. And this is exactly what you are seeing right now in one of my position, which is Facebook. All right, later on I can show you more, right? But for those who are interested in options and you have never learned anything about it before, later on just stay all the way to the end. I can share with you some additional resources to learn that. All right, so this is what I did. If you have confidence, conviction, go in both, right? But make sure you know what you're doing and make sure you do position sizing. Very, very important. Okay, don't go in 100% Facebook no matter how much you like it. Okay, this is my advice for you because anything can go wrong, right? Anything can go wrong. You can never be 100% sure what will happen to Facebook in the next 1 to 2 years, or maybe bad news come in and everything. Just like recently, Baba, right, also went down quite a fair bit, right? It really went down a lot because of the regulations, or also because Jack Ma previously he said something that was unpleasant to the Chinese government, and that's why there was a lot of regulation coming in. And then recently the delisting talk come in once again, right? And that's how the Chinese stock got beaten down so badly. So if your portfolio is in very, very Chinese stock centric, you will also have that risk as well. So that's why at the end of the day, don't go in 100% into 1 to 2 stocks or 1 to 2 sector, because that's how you're also running yourself into the risk should the market is not in your favor. All right. Now, the next question is from Wong. So just now, Santi, he had a 100K portfolio, right? Which is a very, very good portfolio size to begin with, right? Because with 100K, he can definitely do a lot of things, right? A lot of planning onto his allocation. But on the other hand, Wong is someone that only had 20K, right? And that's why he's asking, what would I recommend so that he can grow his 20K much quickly, but at the same time, safely as well, right? This is the whole objective, is how can we invest safely but at the same time profitably, right? So what stock should I buy? What option strategy should I use? So I believe Wong have also attended OMI before, right? So at the end of the day, if you already have the tools, right? You learn exactly how to find good stock. You learn exactly what are the powerful option strategies. What you need to do is, what do you need to do? You already have the tools, guys. If you have the tool, what will you do next? In order to really start to grow your wealth, what will you do next? Okay, if you have the tools already, if you just chunk it aside, put it in your wardrobe, don't look at it, there is no way, right? There's no way that you're going to grow your wealth, right? But instead, you really start to use your tool, right? And polish your skill set from there. That's how, yes, okay, Cal also said, right? You need to start applying. You need to start applying, and you follow exactly what we are going to teach you. We taught you in OMI as well, right? And this is also one of the position that I just initiated a couple weeks ago, because TSM was a fantastic company, right? Those who are in the semiconductor industry, you know that semiconductor is in a great demand, and TSM is definitely one of the best, right? The leading semiconductor company in the world. And in my opinion, at that time when the tech came down, I thought that it was really good support, good valuation, and that's how I decided to initiate another strategy X, right? Which you also learn, right? So Wong, if you are watching, you learn it, then go and apply, right? You need to apply what you learn. And just in a few weeks' time, it's already 18% up. Okay, so am I going to close this position? Not so soon, because based on the technical analysis, it still has more room to run as well. So I'm going to leave it for a while more, and before I decide to close the position and take profit. So at the end of the day, 18% in like a couple of weeks, do I think it's good? I think it's pretty decent, but do I think that it can have more room for growth? Definitely, right? So at the end of the day, if your 20K portfolio, allocate using whatever strategies that we taught you. What stock to choose? We also taught you, right? The OMI checklist. Make sure you just follow through and start. Build your own confidence, build your own conviction, and start to invest, right? You need to decide which tool is the best for you, right? So if you learn, in fact, we taught you 4 strategies, right, during OMI. You don't have to necessarily use them, right, all together. Just start implementing the few that you are comfortable with, right? Let's say boss strategy you are familiar with. Let's start with boss, right? Because boss is such a brilliant strategy to use right now, because this is a volatile time. That's how you can collect much more premium than usual, right? Now, right, if you just sell put, which is doing your boss strategy, you can collect like 3% to sometimes 4% per month. Very on solid companies, right? So that's how you can also generate very consistent return, just using one of the most simple yet powerful option strategy that even Warren Buffett is using, right? So if you are selling more advanced, you can use like strategy X, like what I'm showing you right now, right? So Nelson is asking, is SPY ETF good to buy in stages? Yes, Nelson, why not, right? So if you can see this, right, which is the chart I showed you just now, you will not be able to tell when is the high, what should I say, when is the lowest point going, right? Because nobody can time the market. What you can do is, if you want to invest long term, and in a very, very passive manner, because once you buy an ETF, it's very passive, and basically you're just buying the whole market, and you just buy every single month. You can set aside certain amount of money to do dollar cost averaging. And that's how over time you will accumulate more and more units of S&P 500. And that's how your wealth will also start to compound over time. And this is a very, very decent growth, about 10 to 15% per year, right? If you annualize it, give it long enough, 5 years, 10 years, you are definitely having a much more decent return compared to you putting money in, let's say, unit trust or in a bank, okay? So using ETF is a very great way to get started, and just buy in batches, right? Dollar cost averaging. Now, all right, so this is what I mentioned about follow the OMI rules. So I know definitely some of you here are complete beginners. You have not attended OMI before, or you don't even know what is options. So I just want to give you some additional resources for you to learn further before I continue to answer more questions, all right? So this is the workshop that I personally will be conducting next Friday, on 16th of April. And it's going to be an evening workshop, about 2 hours. And I'm going to share with you 4 proven strategies that I personally use to have consistent return even during volatile time like this. So the 4 proven strategies, some of the strategies, even Warren Buffett is actually doing it. So which is including option strategy as well. So for those who are very, very new, you don't know how to know, hey, is this a good company to invest? What is options? How can I get started? Then do join me for this free webinar and just come and learn 2 hours. And I hope that you can also take away something from there as well. So all you need to do is go to this link, bit.ly, all right, /4strategies 2021. And I don't conduct this workshop often. So actually, in fact, last Friday I was supposed to conduct it, but I had an eye infection. So I have recovered from my infection, but I have to postpone it. And that is why I postponed to this date. So for those who didn't manage to know that I'm conducting this workshop, this is the best time to register, because after that, I'm not sure when is the next time I'm doing that. All right. So just go to apply. I will be sending you a Zoom link. Basically, it will be conducted via Zoom, and you can also ask me questions as well. All right. So next, let's move on. Okay. Now, the next question is from Sam himself, all right? So Sam is saying that I always pick the wrong stock, okay? And I couldn't build my portfolio properly. And I have problems that I listen to too many people, and so many people have given me opinions, give me comments, and eventually I still cannot invest properly. And how do I get rid of all of this. All right. So how many of you are facing maybe similar situation before, or maybe you are facing the same situation like Sam right now? Maybe you can type Sam in the chat. All right. And I know definitely this is not the first time that I listen to this. I've heard it again and again from so many investors who have actually struggled for years, right? And still they couldn't do well in your own investment. And this is exactly what happened to me in the past as well. But I don't want to share my own story today. But basically, I know this is a common problem, and that's why I want to give you my advice, because I personally also have been through that. I'm a 过来人 now, okay? If you know Chinese, I also been through that. So at the end of the day, right, you need to ask yourself these questions, okay? So firstly, why do you think that you always pick the wrong stock? When you pick the wrong stock, is it because, hey, when I buy it, wow, the next day maybe it start falling, right? And maybe you feel like you are very sway, right? Wow, immediately buy, it go down, right? How come I'm so sway, right? Then you need to ask yourself, how come you're so sway? How come you are always picking the wrong stock, right? And second thing is, did you actually do any homework or any research on your own before you decide to invest in a particular company, right? And if this is something that people give you advice on, then who are you listening to, right? So are you listening to, let's say, maybe coffee shop chat, like with your colleagues, with uncle, auntie nearby, or then if you're listening to them, right, then you have to ask yourself, hey, are they good investors in the first place? If they are good investors, they have been really having consistent track record, like for many years, right, then I think, yeah, by all means, right, I believe they will definitely be able to impart with you certain wisdom that help you to become a better investor. But let's say you are listening to people who also probably like you, Sam, right now, struggling, and you listen to them, of course, it's the blind leading the blind. That is why it's very important who do you choose to listen to, because at the end of the day, this is your own money, this is your own portfolio. You have to be very, very responsible to who do you choose to listen to. And it's very, very important that you need to start doing your own homework, because like just now I can give you some of the stocks that I am personally investing, like let's say Facebook, let's say TSM, but I can give you the stock, the tip, right? The stock tip is there, but if you don't have your own analysis, if you don't do your own homework, you can never have conviction, right? So when you don't have conviction, what will happen is, when the stock is falling, when Facebook was falling, like past month, TSM also had a sharp drop, you will start to feel very shaken, and you would start to do a lot of silly mistakes, or maybe like hey, wow, I think it's dropping even more, I better sell off before it's too late, right? That's how you decide to do a lot of reckless decision, and that make you lose money, right? But at the end of the day, when I bought TSM, actually the next day it also started to drop. I was like, oh, okay. But I'm okay with that, because firstly, I follow the OMI rules. I bought a very long-term call. And secondly is, I really believe that this is just a short-term correction. Give it time. TSM is such a solid company that will increase in value, right? That's how I don't worry. And that's why I give it a little bit of time. In fact, in a few weeks' time, it went up already 18%, right? So at the end of the day, there are definitely moments that when you buy, the stock will start dropping, right? It's very common. I also face that, right? Even nowadays, right? But the thing is, what gives me the confidence as well as the assurance to sleep soundly at night, knowing that my portfolio will be intact, in fact, it has been growing, is because I am willing to work on myself, right? I'm willing to really spend time to do homework, to do research. Instead of just listening to others, I still listen to people for advice. Okay, I still listen to, right? Let's say I listen from Sean, from Pete, from Felicia. I definitely listen to them because they are great investors, right? So you have to be very sure who are you listening to. Don't anyhow listen. You really have to make sure people have been there, done that. They are good people. They are good investors. Then you listen, right? Then after that, from their advice, you need to do your homework. Okay, it's very important. This final component, you cannot miss that out. If you miss that out, you will never have conviction, right? And conviction is so important, right? So thank you so much. Bhaskaran, I hope that you find this useful as well. So at the end of the day, I think, yeah, if you are willing to work on yourself, and for example, right, if you see that you are someone like, hey, you've been like struggling for so many years and you still couldn't figure out by yourself, and a lot of time you have a lot of blind spots, then go and seek help, right? You can get a mentor, go and get a mentor to help you, because at the end of the day, yeah, you must be willing, but even with the mentor is there, you need to be willing to lift the weight, right? Just like you go to gym, you hire a professional coach to be there. The coach can give you all the guidance, but you must be someone who is willing to work on your muscle, and that's how you will grow. So at the end of the day, it boils down to, are you willing to work on yourself? And it's definitely going to take some time, but this journey is going to be very worth it, because you are building a life skill that can make you money for the rest of your life, and that's how your family will be taken care of as well. So I hope that inspire you a little bit, and I really hope, Sam, don't give up and continue to work on it. Work on yourself, right? Stop chasing for short-term profits. Start think long-term, and start really choosing the right company, the great company, and study it to invest, right? That's very important, right? So for those who are still watching right now, I hope that you find this session, it's already like past half an hour. I hope that you find this useful. And for those who want to submit your questions, right? Like some of you may be wondering, hey, how did Sam submit your questions to me? How did like Wong submitted the questions? I actually posted a link inside my Telegram channel. So if you do want me to answer some of your questions as well, just join my Telegram channel, and later on I will also post the link for you to submit your questions. And sometimes I will do live like this so that I can answer more people's questions at one go, but sometimes I will actually just post my answers directly into the Telegram channel. So make sure you go and follow it, and yeah, that's how we continue to improve each other as an investor as well. So Palantir lost 80%, wait for increasing. So Pei Feng, at the end of the day, right, you have to ask yourself, right? In the first place, I personally don't buy call for Palantir because it's a very, very new company. Okay, this is something that you also have to learn for yourself. It's not every stock is suitable for option, in my opinion, especially for disruptive company like Palantir. If you do like strategy X on Palantir, you are basically paying quite a lot of money in terms of premium, and this is not to your advantage as a buyer of the call option contract, right? And secondly, and it probably takes some time, right? It may take some time for Palantir to really start to appreciate in value. I also believe that it's a very, very solid company, but would I say that, hey, in 1 year time, the stock will spike up like crazy? I cannot say for sure. In 2 years time, I also cannot say for sure. So for myself, I invested in Palantir, but I buy stocks, okay? Because I can never be sure what will happen to Palantir in 1 to 2 years time. But I believe, give it its current economic mode and its continued innovation, everything, give it years, like 5 years, 10 years, I believe this is one of the very, very good company to invest. But once again, I don't do options on that. I just buy stocks, right? So that's also another reason why I do both, because stocks give me holding power. It gives me option to hold on, right? Despite of the recent drop. So during the recent drop, my Palantir position is also suffering, but I'm totally okay, because firstly, my suffer will not be as much as like 80%. It's like about 20% drop, and I believe long term it's okay. So should you close it or not? This one I really cannot give you advice, because I don't see your whole portfolio, right? Because if it's just like a small position into your portfolio, then maybe you can consider to leave it there. But at the end of the day, I cannot just give you advice like this, because I don't see a whole picture, right? So it's very important that you have to restudy your portfolio again and decide for yourself. All right. So do you think about art funds? Okay. Oh, Matthew, fantastic. So I think art is a very, very, in my opinion, it's a very powerful ETF that invests in a lot of disruptive companies like Palantir, in like Tesla, in Roku, and all this. So I personally think that this is one of the very, very powerful ETF that if you want to consider investing in disruptive sector without you having to go through layers of study into multiple companies, I think, yeah, by all means, okay, you can buy art during the dip. Okay, I personally am actually thinking of investing in ARK, because I personally think that, hey, disruptive companies are great. It can be bringing a lot of profit, but sometimes I may not be able to understand them as better as I wanted to be. So I am also in the midst of thinking of reshuffling my portfolio so that maybe I sell off some of the disruptive companies that I have already, and then probably just buy up invest, right? So I think it's a great way to grow your portfolio exponentially as well, because at the end of the day, this ETF, it's also about exponential growth of disruptive sector. So I think it's a great investment decision. Okay, but once again, portfolio size properly. Okay, don't go in 100% up unless you really have the risk to stomach the volatility, right? Because it's disruptive sector at the end of the day, right? So all right, thank you so much, Pei Feng. Hope you guys learned something. And at the end of the day, so for those who are interested to learn, it's a very, very good for beginners. If you want to learn, just come for my free workshop next Friday, and I will be sending you a Zoom link. So once you register that, maybe in the next few days or so, I will schedule a Zoom, because I just decided today. So I will schedule a Zoom and I will send it to your email address. So all you need to do is to go to the form, and I will be sending you the details later on. So that's all I have to share today. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Hoe, as well. All right, so we will see you guys very soon as well. And for those who have already joined us in OMI, and I really look forward to really seeing you guys grow as an investor. I think, like, if you ask me, hey, is 2021 like a very, very risky year to invest? I really don't think so, because even though the market has gone up a lot, but the economy situation is actually intact, right? So actually any year is a great year to start investing. So I really hope that you guys equip yourself properly and really start taking action as soon as possible. So hi, James, as well. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you. All right, for those who are coming for the workshop, I will see you next Friday as well. See you guys. Bye-bye.